Yes, it's working.
Yes, so yeah, good evening, everyone. You're welcome to another session. Yeah, in the Start Your Career in Tech series that we've been having in the past 1 week. We started last week with uh, software engineering. We moved to data analytics, and yesterday we had product marketing. Today we are having Cindy put us through starting a career in product design. Yes, so we are started right now, and we have Cindy MA here, and I'll let her do an introduction of herself and what she does as a product designer. Before I kickstart with other questions that I have here prepared. All right, Cindy, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Collins. Good evening. It's evening here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy
Evening,
Emme. As Collins rightly said, I've been a product designer for the last 2 years. I recently worked with Oryx Africa, but I'm no longer with them. I'm currently like a freelancer as a product designer. So what I do basically, in very simple terms, I create mobile and web applications. The mobile applications you have on your phone, like your GT Bank app, your Piggy Vest, it's a UI UX designer that works on the design that creates what the application looks like, how it feels when you are flowing from the menu to the exit button to the logout button. All those things are done by a UI UX designer. So in very simple terms, that is what I do. But the main aim of every UI UX project I work on, or any product designer works on, is to solve a problem. So it's always beyond how fancy or how beautiful the app looks. We want to know, okay, what is the problems users are facing and how do we want to solve this problem? Those are the two major things because your users are the most important part of your project. So basically, that's it.
Yeah, I like how that you brought in problem solving into the whole equation, so that people are not just carried away with aesthetics, but
Yes.
uh, they actually pay attention to the nitty gritty. Am I solving a problem with this
Mm-hmm.
tool, with this solution I'm actually bringing? So that brings me to the question of how did you start your journey into product design? How did you stumble to product design? Have you always known product design? Or how did you find your way into it?
Mm. I would say I've always known I was going to be a product designer. But the thing is, when I was little, I was always fascinated with like design. I knew I started learning Corel Draw. For those of us that know Corel Draw, I started learning Corel Draw. I would always jump on Corel Draw 95, Corel Draw 96, just to learn about colors. I was just fascinated about creating colorful things. But after school and life was lifing, I got a job as a customer service representative, but 3 months into the job, I knew that was not what I wanted to do with myself, like long term, to build a long term career. I wanted a career where that was versatile. That okay, if tomorrow I want to do something else, I have that flexibility to do it. And I wanted a career in tech, but I did not want to code because I had tried to learn how to code for 3 months. I did this course with Angela Yu. It's a bootcamp course. It's very self-explanatory. Angela Yu did an amazing job, with that course, but it just was not for me. And so after doing that, excuse me, after doing that for 3 months, I realized, okay, this is not it for me. I decided to try product design because I knew, okay, I had a basic foundation of colors, typography, icons. What can I build on this? And prior to the time where I became a product designer, while I was working as a customer service rep, in the evenings I used to take some design courses like graphic design or Photoshop, So I would always stay back after work because I did not have like my personal system then. So I would stay back after work, then just go to the house by 8 p.m. or so. So when I started doing that, I knew I had to start taking some design courses because I just thought to myself, okay, if I don't want to do customer service as a long-term thing, how do I go about this? So I did a whole lot of research. We have the internet at our fingertips now, and there are a lot of resources online. So I did a whole lot of research. How do I break into this? Because I did not study design in school. So I had to do like a lot of design courses, to just get myself familiar with the term. But I won't say from the very beginning, I knew I wanted to be a product designer. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Thank you so much. So you more or less followed your instinct. You saw that, oh, where I am presently is not what I really want for myself. I mean,
Yes,
that's been the a similar story of a few other speakers we've had so far on the series, where um people just find out that, oh, what I'm doing now in the next 10 years, what the will this career path will it be able to sustain me in the next 10 years, or what's the future
exactly.
looking like for this path
Yes,
and the likes? And I mean, so it's good that one has that discussion with yourself early enough in your career path, because I mean, there's a point you get to where it's almost difficult, almost very
yes.
looks hard for you to create a new path. So now that
Mm,
one is young, it's really the best time to say, oh, can I try something new, something that gives me the opportunity to explore and actually work on great things. Starting education. So you obviously mentioned that. I mean, this is not what you studied in school, and so
mhm.
it's not like school prepared you for this, but you
Oh no.
you actually put yourself on this path by self learning. So, would you say self learning is the best way to learn, especially when someone wants to pivot, um, or you have to actually go to a structured school where you are being taught design
Mm.
fundamentals and the like. So, what would you say from your experience is really the best route to pick up this skill?
Okay, from my experience, I won't say one is better than the other or one is stronger than the other. I think they are both valuable. If you do have a formal education in design, it gives you a very strong foundation. Because when I had to learn about design, I had to start from the foundation. I had to learn about color theory, I had to learn about typography, I had to learn about icon, I had to learn about color wheels, like I had to learn, like I did not know anything about design before. But when you have a formal education in design, it already helps you build that foundation. You have an idea of all these things and you're able to just jump into like practical experiences. But the thing is, practical experience gives you a platform to apply the knowledge, because one thing about UI, UX, or product design is that it's hands-on. You can read all the books in the world, but at the end of the day, what can you do? How can you solve problems? If we put you in front of a software, how do you want to go about getting data from your users? How do you want to go about understanding your user pain points? How do you want to go about your research? So it's a hands-on career, a hands-on job. So you will not just want to rely on formal education, but that gives you a good foundation. That's how I'm going to put it. So the practical experience just helps you to apply your theoretical knowledge. So both are valuable. In my case, I did a whole lot of self-learning, and it was a bit of struggle from the very beginning because, as I said, I had to learn everything from the ground up. Like I did not know anything about design. But if I had gone to school, if I knew from the very beginning that, oh, what I want to do is design, and maybe I went to school to study design. If I haven't been honest, in Nigeria, if product design was a course in the uni, then I don't think a lot of people would have studied it, if I'm actually being honest. But if I had known that that was what I wanted to do and I went to like a formal school to learn design, it would have made it the job a whole lot easier. So it's just a bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. That's just it.
Yes, 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 yes. So most likely self-learning for many people
Yes.
has worked for many people because many of us actually did not go through a structured school. So we just
Mm-hmm.
who found, oh, I have interest in this and start picking up courses online here and there to help us get more insight into this part. So that brings me to the question of, so what tools would you say are needed to actually excel in product design? What tools are used that every product designer should be able to have in hand on to excel in this part?
Okay, if we're talking about tools and we're talking about skills, for me, one of the most important skill every
So you
product
can start
designer
with
should
tools
have.
then because
uh, Okay, would you like me to talk about skills first and then tools, or tools and the skills?
okay, whichever one works for you.
Okay, thank you. If we're talking about skills, one important skill I think every product designer should have is empathy, because you want to understand where your users are coming from. You want to understand why this product is frustrating for them and what can you do to make it better. That is the simplest way to explain product design. How do I make my products better for my users? So every product designer should have empathy, and that's not something you learn. That's not something you learn in school. So you should have empathy. You should have problem solving skills. As we said earlier, a lot of people are carried away with the beauty of apps, the aesthetics. Oh, you see a lot of applications out there and they look good. But the most important question is, are they solving any problem at all? So product designers also want to make sure that they're solving problems, and they want to be able to make sure that they communicate clearly. Because when you want to start a project, when you want to work on a product, you want to make sure that you understand exactly what you are doing. When you have a conversation with the stakeholders, you want to get clarity. Okay, is this what you want? How do you want it? What should be done? So communication is very important. And you're also communicating with other teams like the development team, you're communicating with the product manager. So communication is important. You can't work solo as a product designer. Yes, you might work remotely, but you can't work solo. You have to be able to communicate with people that are working with you on that project. Then for tools, I use Figma software to create my designs. Um, I think it's I think it's easy to use. I think it's easy to learn. Some people use Sketch. That's another software that you can use. Some people use Miro. Miro is a software for whiteboard for brainstorming. You want to use software that you can use to brainstorm your ideas, because when you're going through your design process, there's a stage for brainstorming, for putting up all your ideas. And if you're working remotely, you want a software where all your team members can jump on. So for Figma, they have a feature called FigJam. FigJam is within the same software where it's like a whiteboard. So you just have your sticky notes, you're dropping all your ideas there. So Figma, Sketch, Miro, pencil and paper. Yes, because for some people, when they're building wireframes, they build their wireframes with their hands. They just make sketches. Not a lot of people use like online tools or something. So pen and paper, very important. Miro, Figma, Sketch, and I know Framer. Framer is also another software that some product designers use, but these are just tools that people use to create their designs on their products.
Yes. All right. It's nice to know that, of course, beyond just having knowing you could use the tools for designing on Figma, Sketch, you need to also realize that you need them soft skills. So you are building for humans, you're not just building tools for machines. So you need to understand the
I,
humans there, and that's where
yeah,
empathy
I
is mentioned.
yes. I think I also want to add that another skill all designers should have is adaptability. Because when you work
Okay.
on your design and your design is being critiqued, it might not be what you want to hear that people are saying. When you think you've done this design and oh, it looks so good, there's nothing anybody can tell me. And then you put it out there for it to be critiqued, and people are saying, oh, this color is not good, this color is not good, this doesn't look good, this icon does not look good in this position. It takes a lot for you to now say, oh, okay, you have to see it from where they are coming from, because to you, you think your design is the best. But it takes a lot to now see where they are coming from and see how you can meet in the middle, make improvements. So you have to be adaptable. You cannot just be rigid in your ways and say, no, this is the way it is, this is the way it must be. So I just thought to add that too.
All right, thank you. So for someone who wants to venture into product design, where do you think they could pick up this skill? How do you think they should go about it? That's for someone who has no background in design, doesn't know anything, but is just
Mm.
listening to us today and wants to actually start today. So, what pointers should they be giving the person? Where online should the person get resources, and how should they go about learning?
Okay, so for someone who wants to venture into product design, I think the very first question you should ask yourself is, why do you want to do it? Because what a lot of people do not know is product design is hard. It is hard. There's this notion that, oh, coding is so hard, and a lot of people do not know that the entire stage or the process of building a product is really difficult, because now we are not just typing codes or typing 2 + 2 = 4. You need to engage your creative mind. You need to engage your creative mind. So when it gets difficult, is your motivation that is going to keep you going. When it gets difficult, is your why. Why did I even get into this in the first place? I've asked myself that question a lot of times. When some of the projects I'm working on, they get so difficult, I'm like, why am I even doing this? And people on the outside are like, Texas, Texas. You don't even know what someone is dealing with. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, why do I want to do this? Do you just want to get into tech because tech is like the new thing now? Not everyone is going to get into tech, and that's fine. The important thing you should just find out is, why do you want to do this? Then the second thing you want to do is, you have to do a lot of research. There's this wonderful course on Coursera, the Google Foundation, UX Foundation, something like that. It's beginner friendly. They start from the very um, beginning. Like, if you don't know anything about design, you can start with that course. And if you don't even have money to pay for it, you can apply for financial aid. That was what I did. Because when I started, I did not have money to pay for it. So I applied for financial aid. So when you apply for financial aid, they ask you some questions and they'll almost grant your request. And then you can use the first financial aid to finish your first course. You apply for another financial aid for the second course, and you just keep going. So the Google Coursera course is a very, very interesting one, and highly beginner friendly. Another one is UXL. The UXL course is also beginner friendly, and they make it easy. They kind of like gamified it, let me put it that way. So if you are a visual learner, I'd advise you go for the UXL course, because you have a lot of colors, you have a lot of icons, you're not doing a whole lot of reading, but you're still passing the message across to you, you're still understanding it. And you want to download the software that works for you. You have to do your research on that. Do you want to learn about Sketch? Do you want to learn about Framer? Do you want to learn about Figma? That is really up to you. A lot of people use Figma. A lot of people do Figma and Sketch alongside, but you just want to start with something easy and build on it over time. You can also learn about the principles of design. That's like the very first thing you should do. Go on YouTube and learn about the principles. Just type in the principles of design. There's a channel I started with that was very explanatory. I don't remember the name of the channel now, but they broke it down so well that it was easy for me to understand. So you can start with that. What are the principles of design? What is hierarchy? What is white space? What is kerning? What is like, these are terms that you need to know before you even start venturing into serious design. So You can start with YouTube, you can start with Google Coursera, you can start with Excel. Before you even start going to Interaction Design Foundation, because these are just big, big names. But if you want to start from the very basic, you can jump on YouTube. YouTube is an ocean of resources. So you can jump on YouTube, type in what are the elements of design, what are the principles of design, and then you can pick it up from there.
Interesting. YouTube has come up for almost all our discussions because um, I keep saying that for you to start out in almost any area in tech, all the information you need are readily available online for free, and that's where YouTube comes in. So I mean, anyone can actually just go on YouTube and search for
Mm.
fundamentals of design and actually get tons of resources available at their fingertips for free that can actually help them in learning about the rudiments of design and how they can actually continue on their choice career path in product design. If you have that that you want to highlight that has probably helped users, has helped people in any area of their life that you've worked on before, you want to share with.
I'm sorry, Collins, I did not
Did
get
you
the
get
full
my question?
question. Can you come again?
All right. So, would there be design work that you've done that has been of impact in people's life? I mean, any mobile app, any web app that you worked on before you want to share your experience on, and you could actually use that to also tell us how what a product designer does in the business. What's a typical work day for you at work?
Okay. Um, so there was this project I worked on for how to integrate shopping carts, like shopping cart for shoppers in the supermarket with AI. So it helps you to jump the queue, it saves time. So the idea is when you go to the supermarket and you want to shop, you have the application and you are able to put in your items in the cart. And as you're putting in your items in the cart, you can easily scan the items directly to the application. And when you are done, when you get to the counter, you can make payments there by yourself and you just pick up your items and go. So the idea was to save time because a lot of people maybe spend time at the queue when they're done with shopping, and the cashiers too, they are overwhelmed. They have a lot of people to attend to. So that was just the problem that was being solved. So in a typical day, my day is different depending
Sorry,
on
sorry,
what
sorry.
stage.
Before you go forward, I like that project you worked on because pretty much you just glossed over it, but a lot of people will not have an idea of the impact that could have. I mean, it's saving time, it's saving
Mm-hmm.
resources for the business also. I mean, instead of going to the queue and standing for 20, 30 minutes, that 30 minutes you'll be standing there and they saved already by just the mobile app. You just
Exactly.
go there, you make your payment and you walk out. So it's saving countless number of times for several users who walk into that store to make purchase. And I mean
Yes.
that's a whole lot because in the grand scheme of things, if you do a cumulative time save for each day, then you do it by a year. I mean, you are saving a whole lot and
Mm-hmm.
making a whole lot of impact in people's life. People can actually go on and do other things. I mean, that just tells.
Yeah,
It might look small. It might look like it's just something small, but that goes a long way in showing the impact that the product designer can actually have in the everyday life of people.
very true. And just as you said, time is money. So if I'm going to spend
I
30
mean,
minutes at the supermarket,
that is
I can
life.
spend my 30 minutes elsewhere. Time is life. So
Yeah.
okay, so my day, a day in the life depends on the stage of any project we're working on at that point. So for the beginning part of the let me put it this way, if we're just starting out on a project, in a day, what I do is I always have meetings with my team members. I always have meetings with the developers. The beginning stage is more research. We're trying to gather data. Okay, we're trying to know more about the pain points of users. Who are the users that have used, if there was an existing product that we're trying to improve on, okay, who are the users that use it? What are exactly the problems? How do we make it better? If there are people who are already creating that product we have, we run the competitive analysis. What do they have that we do not have, and how can we make our own better? So it all depends on the stage we're in. If we're in the brainstorming stage, we've gathered enough data for users, we've created our user personas, we've done interviews, depending on the form of technique we want to use on that particular project. If it's just more brainstorming, when we have our meetings, sometimes we tell ourselves, okay, the next time we are meeting, we're coming with ideas. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then we all brainstorm. Brainstorming can take, depending on how huge the project is, brainstorming can take like a week, less than or more. It just depends on what you're working on and the deadline. You also want to work within your deadlines. So that's another thing. If we're in the brainstorming stage, we meet, what do we do? And then we move on to the next stage. If we're in the wireframing stage, the wireframe is, I like to call the wireframe the skeleton of your product, because the wireframe is the wireframe is where you just get to see what your product is going to look like before you start putting in your colors and everything. So the stakeholders have an idea that, oh, this is what our product is going to look like. Everyone on the team has an idea that, okay, when the product is ready, this is what it's going to look like, but just without the whole advanced colors and everything. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, yes, yes. That's interesting. I mean, you always have meetings upon meetings upon meetings, deliberating, brainstorming, ideating, and the like. How would you, what was your route to getting the first job as a product designer?
Okay, my route to get my first job was as an intern, because that's another thing. You don't have to be afraid to start small. You just don't want to, especially if you're still learning, because I was still learning when I got my first job, and I just wanted that space where I could learn and grow and just build on what I already knew. So my first job I started as an intern. Um, I I had done some courses and I had a little portfolio. Now, this is another thing. Your portfolio is important. I won't say is your portfolio is just where we can see your work. It's really as simple as that. It doesn't have to be so complicated. Just have somewhere where we can see your work. It can be your profile, it can be Dribble, it can be anything, but just have a place like a document somewhere where if someone says, okay, what have you done? You are able to show them. And I was able to, I think I had just one project in my portfolio. And I was able to like speak to people and say, oh, I'm looking for like a job. And I was recommended for a job. And that was how I started off. So you also want to leverage on your network. You want to leverage on your connections. Don't be afraid to say, this is what I do. If someone that knows someone can just help you get that position you want, and you can start as an intern and grow in your role. So that was actually how I started out as a product designer.
Don't be afraid to start small. I like that. I mean, so many people want to start from the top. They can bring up the idea of internship, especially when they already have an experience on another part
Mm,
entirely. They just want to get into it entirely and just want to
yes.
and jump into the role. Internship is a sure route to getting your feet into the door. You could come in as an intern, learn, and gather as much knowledge and experience as you can. Then you actually, I mean, if you excel in your internship, most times you are retained and you're able to
Mm,
um, grow grow on that particular part. So internships are good. I started out also as an intern uh,
Wow.
some 5 years ago or so. So, I mean, if you actually want to get your foot into tech, don't be afraid to take up internships. Sometimes some of the discouraging reasons why people don't want internships because sometimes they are not paid, they are unpaid, or they pay just stipends. So it could be discouraging,
Yes.
but the experience you will get is what is invaluable. So go for internships when you get the opportunity to. It's definitely go a long way in helping you in your career. So I believe we have a few more minutes to the end of this session. Uh, what will you say are guiding principles anybody that wants to start in product design should actually watch out for? Uh, Principles that can actually hold on to that will guide them as they venture into this career path so they don't make mistakes.
Okay, guiding principles. First of all, they are going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. The only difference is how minimal or how costly your mistakes will be. But I think I'm going to fall
Yes,
back on what I said before. The first thing you want to know is why. You just go in like I have a friend who we she wanted to learn product design, so but along the way she was just honest with herself and she was like, this thing is not for me. Like it's not for me. We're all not going to be in tech and that's fine. So you want to make sure you know your why. Why am I doing this thing? Because that's what will keep you going when everything else fails. When you're trying to prototype your design and it's not just working. When you're experiencing creativity block, sometimes you're trying to come up with an idea, you're trying to come up with an idea for your product and it's not working, like you can't think of anything. That's what will keep you going. Like, why am I doing this thing? So you want to hold on to why. You also want to, as I said before, you want to be adaptable. You have to be adaptable and flexible. You have to hold on to that because your designs may not always go the way you want it to go. You might be working for like an organization, you create a beautiful product or a design and it's archived. They don't want to use it and we're moving on to a new project. So you want to be adaptable and that can be painful because you're looking at the time invested in the work you did. So you want to be adaptable, you want to be flexible, you want to have a good motivation while you are getting into what you are getting. You want to be able to communicate. Don't go and say, I'm an introvert, I don't like talking. Yes, you're an introvert, that's a personality. But when it comes to working on products, you are working with people, you're building this thing with people. So you want to have a very good communication skill. If it's not something you have, you build on it with your fellow colleagues or co-workers. And you just want to keep learning. You want to make sure you have a drive for continuous learning because you are never going to stop learning no matter what stage you're on. Tech is one Tech is an industry that it keeps changing. There are new trends every day. There are new um, technologies every day. So you just want to make sure that you are continually learning and you're upskilling and you're just building on yourself. So I think that's what I'll say.
I like the last point you mentioned about continuous learning and building up on yourself because the tech space keeps changing. New stuff. I mean, it was just about this almost this period last year, a year ago, when ChatGPT disrupted the whole space, even up to marketing. AI has disrupted how we actually
Yes.
carry out marketing. And of course, there's actually, when you actually look and study it, you're able to maximize the benefits that it brings. Sorry, how many minutes do we have to the end of this recording time? Can you help check?
I, I think we have 2 minutes, 2 minutes left.
Okay, 2 minutes. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. Thank you so much, Cindy. I'm sure
Thank you.
anyone who is online will have actually learned one or two things that could actually guide their path and their discovery into product design. I don't know if anyone online has any questions. We just give room for questions. Uh, for this last 2 minutes that we have before we call it close for today. I mean, we you could actually ask questions on the WhatsApp group if your questions come up later. But I guess at this point we'll just call it a close. Thank you so much, Cindy, for honoring our invitation. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being available to be of value to someone out there today in Nigeria or any part of the world where you might be watching, because this recording will be definitely available on YouTube. So wherever you might be watching, you definitely have learned a whole lot. Thank you so much, Cindy. I
Thank
don't know
you.
if you
Thank
have
you
any
for having
passing
me.
words before we leave.
I'm not sure I have any parting words. I think I've said all I have to say. But thank you for having me.
Oh yeah.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be here and just do this. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So, I mean, this is where we try to help as many people as possible who are trying to find their footing in tech, such that they can actually know that the resources are available online. They can actually find support also from the community, and they can go out there and do amazing things in tech, not just in tech, but in any area of life that they found themselves. And this is where we call it a close for today. Everyone, bye for now. My name is Colin Tokere. Do